Martin from the Philippines, and we're here in Real Talk Lifeline. So, good evening. We're in the heat of late April 2023. It's really been hot with the summer heat, like the heat wave coming in and all. So, people watching the live or the replay, if you're feeling the heat and you want to beat it, before we get into the live, type down summer. If you want to join a summer wellness retreat, we're going to be having it next weekend already. We're going to be doing cold immersion, ice bath, so you guys get to cool off. It's going to be so much more than that. But type summer in the comments if you're interested to sign up for that one. So beat the heat. So what are we doing for this live tonight? So I'm going to take a seat for this one because the topic is self-awareness. Self-awareness. So sit down with me. Let's reflect a bit on that. So people watching the live or the replay, if you have experience with self-awareness, you have tips based on your personal experience, based on your life, and it has worked for you, feel free to share in the comments so that I and other people could also learn. We can all learn from each other. So I'm going to take a seat. I'm just going to read some notes because I was talking with a batchmate. So back in college, she's a cool person. We were talking recently, just some days ago, and there was one line that hit me about self-awareness. So the line that hit me was, she told me, I just discovered I didn't know a lot about myself. So by the way, I'm 36 years old already as of this date. So we're batchmates back in college. This person was telling me that she didn't know a lot about herself. So now at first, people might think, you're already like in your mid-30s, you don't know about yourself. I graduated back in 2010, so that's like 13 years ago, and you still don't know yourself. My answer is yeah, that line really hit me. So what does this mean? Like I discovered I didn't really know myself. So quick backstory. Regarding self-awareness, I followed the narrative. So I went to school, graduated, went to college. I did 5 years, got a degree, a master's. And then 2011, I just joined. I got a job. So started from the bottom, 3 years corporate. And then, thank you. Thank you for the people watching the live. Appreciate your support. So after that, I burned out after 3 years of corporate. And then in 2014, I just tried something else out there. So I became a life insurance agent, sales work, etc., etc. So self-discovery, what I started to realize was it only hit me later on, like in 2018. So I'll shift a bit. I'm going to go back here to the notes with my friend. So we were talking recently, just a few days ago. I was wondering, what do you mean by I just discovered that I didn't know a lot about myself? What do you mean you don't know a lot about yourself? So what she told me, my batchmate said is, I would deflect and run away from things. So this thing is classic. I myself have been guilty of this at times. Deflecting means I don't want to face it. I don't want to sit down, reflect, take a deep look inside of myself. What's really going on? What do I really want to do? Also, I'm going to go down to the notes, part of that self-awareness. So one thing this person mentioned, this batchmate of mine, in her recent, just this year, January this year, starting to do her self-discovery, one thing that she mentioned was she took this Clifton Strengths. If ever you're familiar with that, Strengths Finder, these things that help us understand what we're good at, so what our strengths are, also what our weaknesses are. Super big help for self-awareness. So there are people in my industry. So let's say I'm working with Brew Life UK. Again, it's not about the company. They're friends, batchmates, people I met from Sun Life and nothing but love, like for everyone out there. I noticed they were also taking this Strengths Finder 2.0, Clifton, all this, and they were investing money on that. So it's part of the self-awareness, which the topic is for tonight, and they were finding out what their strengths are. Now, what if you ask, what do you mean? What are the strengths you discover there? So a few would be some of the examples from the Clifton Strength Finder would be adaptability, consistency, harmony, intellection, empathy. So there are others. So some of you might say, yeah, I'm more of intellection, I'm more of consistency, harmony. I don't like it when people are fighting. These are your strengths that you could play to. And it's a big help in the whole self-awareness. By the way, there are other, like as simple as a personality test. Like I took the Myers-Briggs MBTI. Then I discovered I was back then INTJ, introvert, thinker, that type. It made me feel like I wasn't crazy. Like, oh, I'm a homebody introvert. By the way, when you're doing sales work, which involves doing a lot of approaches, meeting people like that, let's say you're more naturally extroverted, you know that you could thrive. So quick sharing, how did I survive over the past years? Despite knowing my personality, and you say play to your strengths, how I survived or even thrived in some years, like 3 good years, was I started to specialize. So more in investments, estate planning, big cases. So this requires a lot of intellection, meaning a lot of deep thinking, a lot of technical analysis and know-how to execute, that sale, that closing, or understanding that client. So play to your strength. You could hit big there. It's not just the production, the $1 million round table. Again, goes back to the topic of self-awareness. Good evening, MJ. Thank you for watching the live, for supporting. So we're talking about self-awareness here. And I'm going to go back down to the notes here, reflecting. So sit down with me. Another note here that I'd like to share, and nothing but love again for this batchmate of mine. She said she's working on her optimism. Why? She discovered she has a pessimistic mindset. So why am I sharing this? It's because I could relate to it as well. So those who think or feel like whenever you come into any scenario, you see all of the problems, meaning like all of the worst case scenarios that can happen. Thank you, MJ. You're watching from Caloocan. Okay. So I'm all the way there. Up north, I'm here in the south, here in Muntinlupa. So I hope you're having a good evening. And it's cooler now at least. It was so much hotter earlier in the day. So take care of your hydration so we don't get a heat stroke, right? So back to the topic of self-awareness. That one, on being naturally or having a pessimistic mindset. What I learned about that, when you say working on optimism, self-awareness can sometimes teach us that that pessimism can actually be a strength. So I learned this from one of my mentors. He mentioned that people like Winston Churchill, these great leaders back then, they were called crisis leaders. Meaning, whenever there was a crisis, you're welcome, MJ, right? So, whenever there's a crisis, like the world is gonna end, world war like that, that's actually when they thrived. Why? We're going back to the topic of self-awareness. That's where they shine the most. That's where their pessimism becomes a strength. So self-awareness is about that. It helps us find where we fall into place in this world. Now, we're not going to do that, self-awareness, if we don't do this, go through the work. Like I had this conversation with my batchmate just a few days ago. If we don't go and reflect, sometimes you got to take these tests, like the Clifton Strengths Finder, personality tests. Sometimes we go into deeper seminars. So one thing that helped me in 2019 was Mission to Millions by T. Harv Eker. So that helped me even go deeper into my passion, my purpose, my mission in life. So that one will help a lot with self-awareness. So those who are watching the live or the replay, again, if you have anything that helped you a lot with self-awareness, feel free to share in the comments below. It might be a lifesaver for someone else out there who's feeling lost, or maybe they just actually don't have any awareness. They're just drifting through life like a leaf in the wind. Thank you, Alan, for watching and for your comment. So the other, I believe that's actually it, because just for the notes I had with my batchmate recently, some people invest a lot of money, thousands into this just to get that self-awareness. That's how much I realized and how much it made me value it more. So type deep dive down below if you're wondering, okay, how do I start? How do I do the self-awareness? Type deep dive down below if you want to have a one-on-one. Like some people call this a clarity call. You just need to talk to someone and then you take inventory or notes of what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. Sometimes you need another person to notice, hey, you're actually good in this. Okay, maybe this is not your strength naturally, etc. like that. So yeah, comment deep dive down below if you want to do that, if you want to start somewhere. Lastly, I'll go back to it. Those who are feeling the heat, type summer down below, because next weekend, May 6 to 7, we're going to be having a summer wellness retreat. We're going to be doing cold immersions, ice baths in this hot weather. So if you want to beat the heat, comment summer down below. I'll send you details. It's coming up next weekend already. Thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.